Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4 Chapter 22 Verse 27. दग्धाशयो मुक्तसमस्ततद्गुणो नैवात्मनो बहिरन्तर्विचष्टे परात्मनोर्यद् व्यवधानं पुरस्तात् स्वप्ने यथा पुरुषस्तद् विनाशे. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, he transcends distinctions between actions executed externally and internally. At that time, the difference between the soul and the super soul, which was existing before self realization, is annihilated. When a dream is over, there is no longer a distinction between the dream and the dreamer. As described by Srila Rupa Goswami and Nyavilashita Shunyam, one must be devoid of all material desires. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires, there is no longer need for jnana or karma. Nyavilashita Shunyam Gnana Karmad Anavritam. In that condition, it is to be understood that one is free from the material body. When we don't have material desires, even though we are living, we are present in this material body, we become free from the material body. What does this mean? We become free from material body.
Proji, that spiritual senses start acting.
Okay. What does free from material body means?
The karma that you do in via this material body will not be attached.
Okay.
Also, one understanding can be that we don't recognize ourselves anymore as this body. We start recognizing ourselves as soul.
Okay.
Prabhuji, we will not come back again at this word, material
Okay.
word.
Okay.
Prabhu, we will not be impacted by the material related
Yeah.
dualities.
That is what we have to understand. We become free means that this the body will not hinder. So we are not. It's as good as we are not in this body. Meaning, this body will not hinder our spiritual activities. Because when one becomes free from all material desires, then the body is there. It just the needs of the body is fulfilled. But we are not under the influence of the material body, under the influence of the modes. That is mukta. This is mukta, basically muktatma. Muktatma is one who is always engaged in the service of the Lord. Is mukta. Not that he has given up his material body, but his material body is not important, as in it doesn't bother him, it doesn't come in the way of his bhakti. So that is being free from this material body. The example is already given above. A coconut which is dry is loosened from its outward husk. This is the stage of liberation. Yeah, see, this is the stage of liberation. Muktir hitvanyatha rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. Basically, just engaged in our eternal position, which is to serve Krishna. So no more active material activities. That means we are free from this. We are liberated from this body. I said in, yeah, mukti means swarupena vyavastitihi. Being situated in one's constitutional position, all material desires are present as long as one is in the bodily concept of life. But when one realizes that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, his desires are no longer material. So yesterday we were having one class in our center. So we discussed this, saying that the key is that we should not have material desires, but we should have spiritual desires. We are Atma, we have desires. We cannot become zero, shunya, inactive. We will have desires, but those desires have to be spiritual. Mm. So only if we develop desires, spiritual desires, and the spiritual desires must be very um, so attractive to us that we lose focus on the material desires. So it should be it should absorb us. The spiritual desire must be mm, something which is not very easy for us to attain. So we become completely absorbed in trying to figure out how to do, how to achieve, what to do, etc. Right? Any desire, if there's a desire, then there is a thought process about how to achieve it. So this desire should be the most difficult to achieve, right? Which is Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema is the most difficult to achieve. Mm. Mm. So what do we want? We want enjoyment. We try to do some devotional activities and we just are looking for enjoyment, or we might go through the grind, but eventually we are working to achieve Krishna. What do we want? So short term, some kind of enjoyment doing bhakti, or maybe not that uh, happiness in the short term, but eventually achieving Krishna and thereby achieving the highest platform of happiness. What is it that we want? So one can be said as Shreya, the other is Preya. One is short-term happiness, the other is long-term, real happiness. So if we want short-term, then we can do bhakti however we want, meaning casual bhakti. If we do casual bhakti, then we will be happy. We'll get some sense of happiness, while doing bhakti also. We are doing things for our enjoyment. We are wearing clothes for our enjoyment. We are eating food stuff for our enjoyment. Okay, it's better than doing it outside ISKCON. Even within ISKCON, we can do this. Mm, mm. Last few days we were in Tirupati, and then we went to the Tirupati temple there. And of course, I mean, like most temples nowadays, sell a lot of prasadam food within the campus. Within the campus, as in within, not not like separate place for selling prasadam. It's inside the temple. Like, and I saw somebody taking that, some devotee. He took a chocolate donut, and we sell chocolate donuts. Okay, so in temple, so he took a chocolate donut, and then he casually is just eating and walking, parikrama inside the temple. It's still not, he's not still got out of the temple premise, as in, the central building. And he's just walking like parikrama around the temple and just eating, with his hands are all like, juta, and he's just eating like casually, just bought something in some place, shop and then just started eating. I mean, this is all complete lack of consciousness, right? It is why, it's not a good idea to have any kind of food items within the temple premise. It's not good because even if we tell, people are so uncontrolled in their sense gratification that they take what they like best and they just start eating. And we should not eat in front of the altar. When the altar is open, we are not supposed to eat within. It's one of the offenses. Sevaparad. Bhakti Sindhu says. No, but this is just happiness, right? We're just happy. Oh yeah, I saw this. Okay, chocolate donut. I like it. I can't eat chocolate outside, but this looks good. I take it. I can't control myself. I start eating, which is okay. Which is better than going outside and buying a donut, right? But the idea is that this is still we are trying to enjoy ourselves. Yeah, and then devotees give a lot of arguments, intelligent devotees. They give arguments saying that, okay, see, we have given up everything else. We have given up all happiness outside. So we should try to get happiness inside. Yeah, and all these kind of thought processes will come till we are serious, till we do Tivra Bhakti. Till the time we do casual Bhakti, these kind of things are okay. And they're also, like people will even substantiate the need for this, why we should let devotees enjoy themselves in the name of bhakti. But this is not the standard. This is not going to give us Krishna. This can give us some temporary sense gratification. Okay, a little bit we can say it's purified because it's all prasadam. But the taste, our tongue wanting to taste things, that propensity has not gone. But of course, fortunately, hopefully, if this is actually prasadam, now, if it is chocolate, I don't know. I mean, obviously, other things, if it is cooked by a devotee with good consciousness, offered with good consciousness, then it will be prasadam. And it can, and if we are eating such prasadam, over a period of time, we should lose the taste for these things. But unfortunately, again, in most temples, we will not have highly qualified devotees doing this kind of seva. So then even the amount of extent of purification is limited. So it all goes in one circle. Yes, it is definitely better than eating outside. That's all we can say. Mm. But this is not Anyabhilashita Shunyam. Anyabhilashita Shunyam means that no material desires. Only Krishnanushilanam. Only doing things for the pleasure of Krishna. Not trying to please our senses in the name of Krishna consciousness. That is mukti. That is the stage of mukti, where we are really not living to gratify our senses at all in any way, whether through spiritual activities, definitely not through material activities. So such a devotee who is not, who all material desires. So when one realizes that he is an eternal servant, his desires are no longer material. So then he desires only the pleasure of Supreme Lord Krishna. A devotee acts in this consciousness. Please see this. It seems like a very simple six-letter, six-word sentence. Devotee acts in this consciousness, but it is fully loaded. Because every moment we are acting, you're doing things. So every moment we should be in this consciousness that I am the eternal servant of Krishna. I am not supposed to have desires, material desires. Material desires means desires gratify the senses. And devotee lives and does actions in this consciousness. In other words, when material desires in connection with the body are finished, one is actually liberated. It's not that we have to give up the body. That will happen only later. That is just in course of time. We have to give up this body. And by that time, this body is fully spiritualized, the senses are fully spiritualized, etc. But actually, if one gives up all material desires and just engages in the service of the Lord, he's actually liberated. Muktiritva nyata rupam swarupena vyavastiti. He is fixed. He is situated in his constitutional position, which is to be a servant of Krishna. When one is liberated from material qualities, he does not do anything for his personal sense gratification. So this is what we are discussing. At that time, all activities performed by him are absolute. They're spiritual. They're on the absolute platform. In the conditioned state, there are two kinds of activities. One acts on behalf of the body, and at the same time, he acts to become liberated. So two kinds of activities. Very, very important. Again, very powerful. We can be engaged in two kinds of activities in conditioned state. One is acting on behalf of the body to make the body comfortable, basically gratifying the senses. At the same time, he acts to become liberated. So on one end, we are acting to become liberated. On the other end, our activities are binding. So on one end, we are loosening the knot. On the other end, we are tying the knot. Loosening the knot, tying the knot. Loosening the knot, tying the knot. So if we are doing more loosening work than tying work, then slowly, we remove 10 strands of thread. Then we only added up five strands, which means 5 strands of thread became loose. Meaning we are slowly, gradually becoming liberated. But if we are only loosening 2 threads and we are adding on 5 threads, that means we are becoming more bound only. We are remaining bound. So we have to see in our day how many of my activities are on behalf of the body, how many activities are actually to become liberated. To become liberated means free from this bodily concept. Only when we become liberated, free from bodily concept, can we think about Krishna Prema. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. The devotee, when he is completely free from all material desires or all material qualities, transcends the duality of action for the body and soul. He transcends the duality of action. Meaning he doesn't act separately for body, separately for soul. He just does everything for the soul. And of course, for maintaining avo jiveta yavata, just for maintenance, he engages in activities of the body, like eating, sleeping, etc. But the duality is gone, meaning that I'm not doing anything for the satisfaction of my body. I'm doing everything for the satisfaction of the soul. Then the bodily concept of life is completely over. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Ihayasya Hare Dasya Karmananya Manasagira Nikilashvapi Avastha. So, Jivan Mukta Sa Uchyate. When one is completely fixed in the service of the Lord, he is a liberated person in any condition of life. Any condition of life, it doesn't matter. What is the condition of life doesn't matter. Pundarika Vidyanidhi, great devotees of Lord Chaitanya, was himself Vrishabhanu in Krishna Leela. He was a very rich man, very opulent person. So, looking at his situation, Gadadhar Pandit, he thought that, oh, what is this? He is in so much of opulence. How can he be a great devotee? And that was just to teach us, saying that we should not see the externals of a devotee, condition of life, into the internal. And so irrespective of whatever is our condition life, good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. He's a liberated person when he's completely fixed in the service of the Lord. He's called Jivan Mukta, liberated even within this body. In such a liberated condition, there's no distinction between actions for sense gratification and actions for liberation, because there are no two different types of activities. There's only one type of activity. When one is liberated from the desires of sense gratification, he is no longer to suffer the reactions of lamentation and or illusion. Anna sochati na kankshati. So those sufferings will stop, which we experience by just actions that we do connected to the body. Like for example, if we are too attached to the body, then we become so anxious when something happens to the body. Now all these kind of sufferings stop. That is the first step. Subsequently, when there are reactions coming, one is from actions, whatever new actions we are doing, we'll stop getting affected. Then when the reactions come, which are the results of our previous karma, we become, we don't get affected by them also. So we don't suffer from the sufferings of this body and mind. This is Jivan Mukta. What does such a devotee do? Is it that he's not having a stomach pain? No, he's having stomach pain, but he doesn't care for it. He becomes carefree. He just goes on doing his bhakti. This is liberated state. That's why slowly, steadily, we should give up this too much attachment to this body and things connected to this body. In today's situation, maybe most of us are concerned about what is happening to us. Body, ourselves, our family, our wealth, our property, our this, our that. Slowly, little by little, at least we should, we should start from somewhere, becoming detached from these things, knowing that, this is not me at all. Then we will come to the stage of not suffering, even though there is suffering. We'll come to the stage of not suffering, even though there is suffering, meaning not getting affected by it. Activities performed by the karmis and gnanis are subject to lamentation and illusion. But self-realized liberated person acting only for the Supreme Person of Godhead experiences none. Na sochati na kankshati. So he doesn't have any illusion, doesn't have any lamentation. This is the stage of oneness or merging into the existence of the Supreme Person of Godhead. This means that the individual soul, while keeping his individuality, no longer has separate interests. So merging basically means separatist attitude. No separatist attitude, no separate interest from the Supreme Lord. He is fully in the service of the Lord and has nothing to do for his personal sense gratification. Therefore, he sees only the Supreme Person of Godhead and not himself. Okay, I mean, this we may not understand, but it's okay. Basically, the whole idea is that we are not doing anything for our own self-interest. That's all. His personal interest completely perishes. When a person comes out of a dream, the dream vanishes. While dreaming, a person may consider himself a king and see the royal paraphernalia, soldiers, etc. But when the dream is over, he does not see anything beyond himself. Similarly, a liberated person understands that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, acting in accordance with the desire of the Lord. And as such, there is no distinction between himself and the Supreme Lord because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord anyway. This is the perfect conception of oneness in relation to the super soul and the soul. So oneness basically means not merging. Oneness means oneness in interest. No separate interest. So liberated state. Oneness in relation with super soul means liberated state where we don't have personal interest. Personal interest completely perishes. Devotee lives only for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord and Guru and Vaishnavas. And this is the waking up from the dream process. So we are still in the dream, sometimes in the middle somebody is poking us, trying to wake us up, half eyes are half opened and then something we see reality to some extent. Then again we close our eyes. This is what is going on with us. So we are asleep in the slumber of material ignorance. We are asleep and then somebody comes and pokes us. And then we open our eyes little bit, see some reality, and then again we close our eyes. And this process has to go on and on and on till we become completely awake, till we come out of the dream. This bodily concept of life is a dream because it's not the real me. So we have to come out of this. Unfortunately, these kind of topics are not discussed. Even the Prabhupada repeatedly writes this. Just see, I mean, this whole last few verses in this whole chapter. We've been only discussing this, right? Heavy stuff. That's why we're not going beyond 1 or 2 verses a day. Somehow, if these things are heard again and again and again and again and again and again and again, it might register in our dull brains. Manda, Sumanda Mataya. Lazy, unintelligent we are. We're lazy. Mm. Yeah, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, one question. So you mentioned the example of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
he was very opulent and internally he was completely a pure devotee.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in relation to this verse where Prabhupada translates that when the person is devoid of all material desires, he transcends distinctions between actions executed externally and internally.
Yeah.
So how to understand this? Like if one devotee externally he is looking opulent and one devotee who is very simple. So the simple devotee, he is actually executing this behavior, right? Because internally, whatever is required for maintenance of the body, he is only having that. While an opulent devotee
No,
might
that's
be
not what this means. What this means is he transcends the distinctions. So there will be distinctions. There
Mm,
are distinctions, but he transcends the distinctions. Meaning, I might be a rich person, I might be going in a Mercedes. That's an external action, right? Now, whoever has come to this liberated state, he transcends the distinction. He's not seeing that there is, oh, okay, he's going in a Mercedes Benz, and then but he's internally, he's pure devotee. Or how is this possible? And now he's not seeing that. He's seeing that okay, this person is not attached to this Mercedes Benz, right?
mm,
So he's just using this. I mean, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur specifically he did things like this, right? Wearing very opulent outfit when he was going for some preaching program, going in an expensive car. He used to do all this to show that the this distinction between external and internal action should be we should transcend, right? So but we should not imitate this again, and if we don't have the vision of spiritual vision, then we should not also pass comments over others who might be externally doing some actions which might seem non-devotional, but because we don't know their internal, we better keep quiet. We better don't bother do our own stuff, because this
mm.
requires a very high caliber to be able to recognize what is the internal and external of a pure devotee. But when a person becomes devoid of all material desires and impurity, he transcends the distinction. So he's going because okay, I have this car, I'll go. I mean, even bothering to change that car is a botheration, right?
Mm.
So why even bother? Anyway, I'm not attached to this car. But yeah, sometimes like Krishna says, we might do things just to teach others. Mm. But yeah, that depends on the situation of each and every devotee. But the whole idea is that whatever that person is doing is simply for the pleasure of the Lord.
Mm.
Like Pandavas, they were living in royal opulence, right? But they were also living in the forest. It's like Srila Prabhupada. Like Srila Prabhupada,
Yeah.
he was living in the best of situations when he was outside India. Of course, initially he was really struggling. Living on a loft. Just imagine living on a loft, right? But then yeah, then as his movement grew, then he was able. Devout disciples built made fabulous arrangements for his stay, etc. So royal. But then he comes to India, and then again he's back on. He's happy. He's just not bothered. He's on the ground, like very humble situation, but he's not affected at all.
Mm.
Transcended, right? Whether he's living in a palace, whether he's living in a jhoppadapatti, it doesn't matter to him. His work
Yeah.
is to please Krishna and Guru. That's all. Mm.
Yeah. Clear, bro. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody?
Prabhu, can we say that, let us say, if a person is having a car, Bench car, let us say, very luxury car, and he is using that car for the service of Lord, or in the mood that he wanted to serve Krishna, is not a bad thing.
Now we have to be very careful about this. Like I'll give my own life example. At one point of time, I was attached to buying a good car, and my desire was to have a car which is not what everyone possesses. Of course, I was not so rich to possess a Mercedes Benz or a BMW or whatever. So within my own range, I looked at a car which not many buyers had. And then to substantiate that purchase of that car, I gave many reasons. Which all, yeah, we're very intelligent, right? We'll give Krishna conscious reasons why I'm buying that car. But internally, I knew that, yeah, Krishna conscious requirement was actually maybe 20-30% only. 70% was my own sense gratification, right? So we have to be very careful, at least we should be true to ourselves. Saying that, yeah, I'm trying to buy this expensive car because I'm attached to it. Let's at least be true to ourselves. But if somebody is really not attached to that car, meaning tomorrow that car is gone, he's ready to just, maybe he can just give that car away and, come in a
Be
Maruti 800, for example. If he's really in that state of mind, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He can use that. He can use that also, right? But that's left to the devotee, whether he wants to use that, whether he wants to give that up, that's up to him. But he's not attached. He's not attached to that car. He's not attached to that home. He's not attached to his money. He thinks, oh, I have 10 rupees. Let me give 5 rupees to Krishna. It's okay. It's okay if I have only 5 rupees. But nowadays, we see people, they have 10 rupees. They have 10 rupees and then say somebody else has 2 rupees only, but they want to take the 2 rupees also as devotees. We are seeing this, right? Give me mine, give me mine, give me this. I want, I need. This is all like self-centered, cheap mentality. This is not devotion at all. And we can give whatever reasoning for this kind of behavior. Right? Self-centered living is not Krishna consciousness. We should understand this. And I'm so fortunate. I know so many devotees who, in spite of their difficult conditions, etc., whatever, right? They're very tight in their finances. Still, they give. They give something to Krishna. They give every month on month. They give. And somebody sent me a message, voice message, saying that Prabhu, please help me understand this. Rupa Goswami, at the end of his life, he distributed his savings, right? Shastra is not telling us that Rupa Goswami was actually giving 50% every month from his salary, right? What we've heard is that he gave at the end when he retired, he had like whatever big boat full of money, and then he split it that way. 50% he gave it to Krishna and Krishna conscious activity. So somebody asked me saying that, how do we understand? What does this mean? Should we also do that at the time of when we retire? What is the answer to this? What should we do? Others can also think. What should we do?
So we.
It's okay, Sunil Prabhu. You're not on the focus light. It's okay. Others can also think, right? Because these things we have to understand. We internally we are still attached. Internally we are still attached, right? Of course, different people have different attachment to different things, right? Somebody might be attached to body, somebody might be attached to money, somebody might be attached to property, somebody might be attached to car, somebody might be attached to family, etc., etc., right? Somebody might be attached to all of these, right? That is okay. That's all our individual fallen condition that we should understand,
Prabhu,
right?
but attaching to family, that is the responsibility, right, Prabhu?
No, responsibility is to take care of the family, not being attached to them. Attachment results in suffering, that's all. Krishna is saying just take care of them, understand that they're all jivas. They've all come together in a house because we have to exchange our karma phala. And then together, as alongside the suffering our karma phala, see how you can best serve Krishna. Make your house a temple, make everybody devotee in the house, and everybody engages in serving Krishna. This needs to be our mood. And just like we are attached to other devotees, we can also be attached to these devotees at home. But it should be the same level of attachment, not some extra love. Because that extra love will result in extra suffering. Simple.
Hmm.
Right? Everything that has been given, not just family, starting from our body, our family, our riches, our wealth, our property, our this, our that, everything is given so that we just use it for Krishna. There is no expectation, or we should not be attached to any of these, including our body, starting from our body. Right, and money, people are so attached to money. So the whole idea, Prabhupada in his purports repeatedly say, give your salary, give your salary, give your salary to Krishna. He never said, hoard all this at the end of your life when you retire, then give 50% to Krishna. He did not say that. Because on a regular basis, we have to realize that this money is not mine. This money is Krishna. So I will use it for Krishna. So if we continuously do it for many years, then slowly, eventually, we will give up that attachment to that money. Otherwise, we are super duper attached to this money, right? So we have to understand that we should not imitate these things. In our fallen state, we should understand, okay, I'm attached. Yeah, okay, but it's not good. Maybe I will try. Mm. But the idea is that we have to come to this state. We have to come to this state of not being attached to the. Again, Krishna is never, this is all Yukta Vairagya, not Falgu Vairagya, not giving up. Oh, I'm going to be too attached to my family, so I'll give up my family. No, this is all the running escape route. Do that with other things also. And then someone becomes very crazy and says, okay, I'm going to just give up my body because I'm too attachment to my body. Then that becomes a sin, and then he has to suffer. So all of this escape business is all results in sin, mostly. Right? That is why Shastra says, do Varnashrama, do your Grasta activities, complete your Grasta activities. You've taken that responsibility. Marriage means you've taken up the responsibility. Fulfill that responsibility and then go to the next ashram. But till you're in that ashram, Grasta ashram, don't be attached to anything. Just do it. It's your duty. You do it very sincerely, meticulously. That's the expectation. But unfortunately, because we don't have a higher taste, we are attached to this taste of material conception of life, which is actually really no taste, but yeah. But okay. Okay, anybody else has any questions? No questions? Okay. And we'll close here. We can't start another verse. Okay. If there's nothing else, then we can close. Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayavita Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Krishna.